Grüetzimitenand, this is Swissreefer. I get asked a lot about how to take images like I do, so I decided to create this video to share my thoughts about reef photography. First of all, it's not only about the camera. I'm a professional photographer and I have many years of experience with cameras and images. If you have ever heard of Phenoloup, that's me. It really helps if you understand ISO, aperture and shutter speed. But there are so many great videos on YouTube which will explain you how a camera works that I'm not going into detail. An image needs the right amount of light. ISO is the sensitivity of the sensor. More ISO will get you more light but also more noise. Aperture will define the shallow depth of field. A lower aperture number will get you more light in and it will create more bokeh. This means you get a lot of blurry background. And the shutter speed is the short time frame where you let the light to the sensor. A very short time will freeze your images and there will hardly be any motion blur. But also very little light. Get the right amount of everything with the right properties and you will be able to create the images that you want. But what about the equipment? I recommend you to think about the lenses rather than the body. I really fell in love with my macro lens for reef photography. Macro lens allows you to get really close to the subject and still be able to focus. Yes, I have a lot of fancy equipment, but better gear will not get you better images automatically. You first need to understand what you're doing and then upgrade your equipment. Better equipment will most probably be able to get you more useful images in a difficult situation. That's why I use my Canon 5D Mark IV, even if it's total overkill for Instagram images, but I already have it. What else you need to consider? Our Reef Lighting is very strong and has a spectrum where most cameras are not built to handle them. If possible, change your LED settings temporarily to get better coloration. Play around with the spectrum and intensity to get images you're happy with. If this is not possible, try using a gel filter. I personally never tried one because I don't have one. After cleaning the panels, eliminate reflection and avoid distortions when shooting from an angle. I guess if you have an acrylic tank this should be less an issue, but I'm not sure about that. The hardest thing for me when shooting my reef is the focus. Besides that you cannot tell your fish where to pose and what to do, it's even harder to nail the focus when they finally do what you want them to. I usually take hundreds of images before getting the shot I want. I just shoot a lot of images and then pick the best ones. And sometimes there is not a single one I'm happy with. That happens, but keep going. Of course it would be easier with a less blurry background, but I love the results with the shallow depth of field, and so I take the challenge. If you want to step up your photography game, think about compositing. An easy guideline is the rule of third. Place the most important thing in one of those crossing points. But again, there are a lot of videos on YouTube for that. When you finally get an image you like, then it's time to edit and get the most out of it. If possible, set your camera to shoot RAW. This allows you to pull out more details than from a normal, let's say, JPEG image, and may be the most important thing to step up your game. I first process my images with Camera Raw from Adobe, but basically any RAW processor will do just fine. And then I'm not doing anything more fancy editing except sliding sliders on Instagram. There is really nothing to retouch, so why bother? But do not use filters please. Push those highlights and add contrast and make that image pop. Find your unique style, but be patient as this takes its time. But to be honest, you could watch hundreds of tutorials that teach you how to shoot and how to edit,
but without you trying and seeing it for yourself, you will never improve and get better.
Get up and start shooting and editing. Feel free to message me on Instagram and show me your results, and if you have any questions, leave them in the comment section below. See you next time and happy reefing!